The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
There it is. You tuned into the Farron Dozier Show on nbradio.us, Tech Talk Edition, and Life Force Sports. Catch me here Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, only on nbradio.us. Shout out. How did I do? Was that a good take? That might work. All right, good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Farron Dozier Show on MB Radio. That's right, mbradio.us. Thanks for listening in. If you want to catch some more of the episodes, make sure you go to mbradio.us. You'll see all the different podcasts from our veterans and our first responders who are here sharing their voice. And so again, I'm blessed to be here to share some of my conversations here on this platform. If you need to step away from your computer, we have an app, so you can go and download the app or type in mbradio.us on your smartphone, and you'll be able to stream the episode right from your phone device. And also after the show, if you want to watch it or you want to share it, it's on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, you can probably find it there for sure. Today we have a very always an important show for you here on the show of the Farron Dozier Show. And so I got 3 segments. And as you've been hearing on this platform as well, I've been talking about the For the Love of Dogs campaign. That campaign is brought to you by EQ Athletics. We actually own the Inland Empire Hounds, the Ventura County Orcas, and the Riverside County Mavericks. And this season, we are continuing the season of the Inland Empire Hounds. They were number 10 of the ABA last year out of 150 teams. I believe there are about 170 teams now this year. And so we are back to hopefully chase another championship opportunity, but also have an opportunity to bring some campaigns to the community. We are the new owners. And so shouts out to my buddy who unfortunately had to gave up the team, and so we took it over. And this season campaign is For the Love of Dogs is just one of many. We have one for that. We have one for veterans. We have one for our youth, veteran suicide, youth suicide, low mood stress, just a lot of mental toughness conversations around that. And then whatever the community cares about, we offer our platform to you to come and bring your topics to us and have it displayed at one of the games, and have an opportunity to share about what you're up to and why that conversation is important to you. The For the Love of Dogs campaign came because of my own loss of my dog, Daisy, and then my co-owner, Dr. Bonds, who in a conversation we had one day was also grieving from his pet of 17 years. And so we both were like, wow, we're still talking about our dogs. And so what better way for us to contribute back to the community in that grief conversation? But what we saw was, why not just get everyone involved, from dog breeders up into grief counselors. So we're looking for all the dog businesses in between to support these conversations. If you want to brand with us, there's an opportunity for you to brand with our ABA basketball team. We're looking for brands for our jerseys, for banners, for our website, things like that. So if you're interested in that part of the program, you can participate there. We have selected a couple of nonprofits to be a part of that campaign so we can help them further their mission in the community. If you've been tracking the dog world or just the pet world period, fosters, there's a crisis across the country around our pets. And so for us to be able to help just bring some awareness to that conversation. And again, in the parts of San Bernardino County, which is such a large county, there are different organizations doing their part. So we are highlighting a few this season with us. We're going to play our PSA and then come back and get right into the episode. This is Calmigo. It is dedicated for veterans. This is a veteran platform. But as we know that human beings deal with stress and anxiety, and sometimes some of us veterans, we don't want to take drugs. And so maybe just the ability to take some breaths and breathe can help diminish some of those experiences of anxiety or stress or whatever we're dealing with. So this is a PSA for that. This is Calm to Go.
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh,
too,
man, that shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. You know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army, 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org. All right, welcome back to the Farron Dozier Show on MB Radio. That cause is my personal cause. Even this past week, there was a death, and we pray that it's not sickle cell trait with rhabdomyolysis connected, but another athlete passed away from heat exhaustion, and sickle cell trait exertion with rhabdomyolysis or rhabdo itself shows up like heat exhaustion. And so that is something that is one of our causes for the IE Hounds, the platform, bringing awareness to hydration, inherited genes, and things like that. So again, if you want to get involved with your conversation, I advocate for lupus, chronic illnesses, and those kind of conversations. So if you have a conversation that you want to bring to the table in the community, you're more than welcome to share it with us here. All right, so let's get right into it because our guest is here. And again, as I started looking for organizations, this is actually one of the first ones that I found when I was looking to see how we can partner, what organizations are out here in San Bernardino, and her organization popped up. So here is Angela from Cause for Paws. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking time out today. Mm-hmm. Do me a favor, introduce yourself, and then we'll get started about your foundation.
Okay. My name is Angela Hoffman, and I started Cause for Paws about, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. I started it in February of, God, what was it? 2015. Yeah. And basically started just from the number of stray dogs that I found around my neighborhood, and then also at the schools where I worked at the time. And I hooked up with the only rescue I could find at the time to get the dogs vetted and rehomed after I couldn't find owners. And that rescue was in Marietta. And so then I started looking for rescues in the area and realized that we didn't have many. So started Cause for SB Paws at that time.
That's nice. That's nice. Any relationship to dogs before you started the rescue? Did you own any pets?
Owned pets, but nothing out of the ordinary. Just had one dog growing up, and I think it was just moving here from the Chicago area. I had never seen the number of strays that I saw when I moved here, and so I think that just sort of accidentally got me involved in rescue, and then from there it just kind of like went, ballooned from there. So because the need is really high, still really high.
Yeah,
So.
let's talk about that. What do you think is the trigger, or what's going on in the world of our animals that is such a large crisis right now? I mean, across the nation.
Yeah. There are a lot of things. When I first got into rescue, I think there was just generally, including myself, just a lack of awareness because the shelters exist kind of as a convenience for us. We see a stray animal, we call animal control, the animals disappear and they go to a place that most of us never see. And so the existence of shelters, in a way, obviously they're a great thing, but at the same time, it just makes most of us unaware of what's going on. So initially, 10 years ago, I think there was a lack of awareness of what was happening in the shelters, and they were overcrowded and disease spreading and animals being euthanized, for space. And I think I didn't realize the number of animals that were euthanized. And I just thought, they go to the shelter and they get rehomed, they get taken care of. And it's really not the case. Our shelters are very underfunded and kind of look, they don't look like something you would expect to see in America. The environments are they're just not very good. Then the pandemic added another layer. Things were starting to get better. People were becoming more aware of spay and neuter. We were getting a lot of dogs adopted and out of the shelters, and the shelters were reaching no kill rate at the time. Then the pandemic happened, and it was kind of a perfect storm of several different things. And a lot of people saw during the pandemic, shelters were being empty because a lot of people were adopting. Then after the pandemic, it was a mixture of people feeling like, I'm going back to work. I don't have time for this dog anymore. So a lot of people started panicking and thinking they had to find a rescue or turn their dog back into the shelter. But at the same time, we've been experiencing a vet shortage that started during the pandemic. And also spay and neuter is becoming astronomically expensive. And you 3-4 month wait time. So just a combination of many things have made the problem a lot worse. The shelters are now overfilled again. They're inching towards, high kill. We're not having dogs adopted at all like we used to, unless we get really small puppies. So we've had dogs, adult dogs in our rescue since 2020. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's gotten really hard.
And thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And again, I noticed just for myself doing my research most recently, I've interviewed people from across the country so far that have had the same type of experiences. For you, around this community, let's talk about the fostering. That seems to be challenging. People, I pray that these conversations that we have allow people to rediscover the care for the dogs and animals that they may have, brushed aside or not realized for whatever reason, life happening. And as you mentioned, people get pets, don't realize the responsibility, or they move to I got to move to another apartment that doesn't accept pets. I'm sure you heard those stories. So what do you say about those kind of, screening people before actually picking up a pet?
The thing about running a shelter or running a rescue, a nonprofit, private rescue versus the shelter is that we can screen really carefully. And we have a lot of serious conversations with people and try to steer them in a different direction. If we feel like the main thing is, will a dog be returned in the future? Because it's not a matter of how much money you have. It's not a matter of how busy you are, that you have to work. A lot of people feel like they wouldn't make the best pet owners because of those things. But some of our best adopters don't have backyards. They don't have big homes. They don't have a lot of money. They work full time. We all work full time. We're foster based, so we foster and work full time. But yeah, we have a lot of conversations, and we do try to make people aware of the financial costs and also the time. But at the same time, we've been trying to let people know, the ones who think they don't have enough time for their dogs, that if you go through a hard period as a pet owner, having your dog crated a little more than normal, or not walking them like you used to, or not giving them as much attention as you used to, is really so much better than uprooting them, and thinking that there's a better life for them somewhere else. The best place for them is to stay where they are, even if things aren't ideal or easy at the time. So we have a lot of conversations like that. And the shelters, though, it's really hard. They're municipal and county run, and they can't necessarily screen people. They'll try to have conversations and, guide them in a different direction as well. But for the most part, we do get a lot of people from the shelters who adopted, and they didn't really realize what they were getting themselves into. And then we have those conversations about, you're being really hard on yourself, and the dog will be okay if you crate it for a few hours a day, and, things like that. So I think people imagine that they have to be these amazing pet owners and take their dogs running and on hikes and on walks daily. And it's like, when things get hard, life gets hard for all of us, and we just do the best we can. So.
Right, for sure. Thank you again for sharing that. Okay, if you had to give me like 3 things that your organization is in need of or has some concerns about in the future, what would those things be? Finding fosters, or food for the pets? What are some of those things?
I think it's a bigger picture thinking would be my first answer. And it would be just the importance of spay and neuter, and how there are a lot of people, depending on cultural, in my family, like, the more close to our Italian heritage my family is, the more they don't necessarily believe in spay and neuter. Like, they feel like it's cruel. Like, like, we should all want to have babies. And it's let a dog have 1 litter, before you, spay a female. Let the male go out there and, kind of do his thing before you ever neuter. And so I think it's really just spreading awareness about spay and neuter. If we didn't have the explosion in the animal population that we do have, and if we didn't have dogs that have to be euthanized in the shelters because we're so overpopulated, I could see the discussion. But right now, when we are in the situation we are in, I think the number one most important thing is spaying and neutering. And it's hard, though, because of how expensive spays and neuters are now. So as a community, we really need to focus on opening up a spay and neuter facility, getting high volume spay and neuter available to the public, and then funding it so that people are paying maybe max $50. So that would be our number one thing, is spreading the word about how important spay and neuter is, because unwanted litters, puppies are cute, but they grow into adults, and then
and those are some of the unforeseen things that people don't pay attention to. Like, oh, they're cute, they're gonna have 12 or 6, 7 puppies. But then you don't think about, okay, then, like, so my daughter, I hope she don't get upset, but she has 3 dogs, and so they had a litter, and so now she's actually got like 6 dogs, and it's like, whoa. And if nobody purchased them, if nobody wants them, then it's like, then you're taking care of them.
Yeah.
From that point on.
And then it's hard once they hit about 4 months. It's really hard right now. In how it is right now, it's hard to get them adopted once they hit 4 months. And then at that point, you're right. Like, am I going to have these 3 dogs now for the rest of their lives? And then you end up having 6 dogs, and then you're kind of overwhelmed, and so it's a lot, to have a dog, even have 1 litter. We get a lot of requests for help like that too. People will say, "Oh my God, I didn't realize my dog got pregnant, and I don't know what to do." Yeah. So
spay and neuter, and then what's another one you would think?
I would say fostering. People considering to foster rescues. You should definitely research any rescue that you get involved with, because rescues should be very supportive with materials, supplies,
supplies,
like crates, food, X pens, just like whatever you need to add a new dog to your household for, a while. And it can take a while for a dog to get adopted. So just also keeping in mind that you can be fostering. We've had some dogs in our foster care for years. So being aware of that, being ready to, foster for the long haul. We occasionally will get people who think the idea sounds fun, and then in a few weeks they're like, "Okay, we're done, we're ready to give the dog back," but we don't have another spot for that dog. So just fosters that are really ready for the, the actual responsibility and how long it could take, and helping us to network a dog and rehome a dog. So fostering would be second, considering fostering, but really understanding what you're getting yourself into before.
Because it could take long. It could be, like you said, a year or so before that dog actually finds another home. And people don't in the foster. Does it convert over to just keeping the dog, or I know
a lot of people they call it a foster fail, and so they have had the dog for a while and the dog feels like part of the family, and then they decide to just keep the dog. And so we call it like, "Oh, I foster failed." And they wind up keeping the dog. And that happens a lot. Like a new foster, they'll think they're just not ready for a new dog. So they decide to foster. And then within 3 to 6 months, if the dog's not adopted, they're like, "Oh, the dog's become part of the family. Can we just adopt?" And so that happens.
And if you got one more, I'm looking for 3. If you got one more that you feel would be important.
I think donating to local rescues, because a lot of people will look at, the bigger foundations, and Best Friends Animal Society, like they deserve all the donations. And so does the Humane Society. But there are so many mom and pop, small grassroots organizations that really need the donations. So if people take a look at, the smaller nonprofits in their communities, those are the ones that could really use monetary donations. Blankets and towels and things like that are always useful, but the majority of our expenses are in vet care. So the monetary donations are usually most helpful.
I spoke to an organization, and they got a dog that they picked up, and it needed surgery, and the surgery was like $3,500, and they had to pay for it out of their own budget. And so they were like, funding for surgeries and dog care is just important as well. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, let them know how they can find you, and if they want to reach out to you.
Yeah, definitely. My email it's cause4sbpaws@gmail.com, but it's cause and then the number 4. So it's cause number 4, SB for San Bernardino, paws, PAWS @gmail.com. My website is cause4sbpaws.org, all spelled out normally. And then we're also on Facebook, Cause for San Bernardino Paws. And we're also on Instagram, Cause for SB Paws. So come look us up. Our available dogs are on our website. We have about 20 available dogs right now that have been looking for homes for a long, long time.
Okay. So, thank you for taking time out today from your schedule and sharing this important conversation with us.
Thank you for having us and helping us spread the word, for sure.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Right. Bye-bye. All right. Again, this is the Farron Dozier Show on MB Radio. That's right. MB Radio, Farron Dozier Show. If you got questions, hit me up at Farron Dozier on all those platforms. You can find me Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All right. We're going to take another public service announcement and then come back and get right into our Trench Talk episode. But my guy Vic is here. We are not strangers, but I wanted him to come to the MB platform and talk about his military experience with us here. So we'll be right back on the Farron Dozier Show.
Muchos de nosotros nos vemos afectados por la enfermedad de células falciformes a diario y un número creciente simplemente no nos damos cuenta. Los impactos de esta enfermedad afectan a todas las personas y en especialmente a las personas de color y con antecedentes diversos. Estar en servicio conmigo y con los demás a medida que creamos una mayor conciencia sobre cómo identificar y dirigir el tratamiento de los rasgos de células falciformes y ayudar a las familias a saber cómo superar el trastorno de células falciformes.
Do you remember studying sickle cell in biology class? What's the Count on Sickle Cell Trait Prevention is here to bring you awareness, education, and prevention conversations around the risk factors of this inherited gene. Visit wdconsct.org. Tune in to the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, also streaming from the kcaradio.com website on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific Time. Brought to you by Sports Collective TV, Sports Collective Radio, and Sports Collective Media. We got the Heme Factor, we got In the Zone, and we got Fourth Down in the 20-second timeout sports segment. All for you right here on the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, also streaming from the kcaradio.com website with my guest hosts Robert Lamar and Coach Will. Catch us on Sports Collective Media on Instagram and Facebook, and make sure you watch us Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, also streaming from the kcaradio.com website. Music, talk, sports, and so much more on the Farron Dozier Show. Zetovia salve, made from natural and organic ingredients, good for inflammation, poor circulation, hemorrhoids, yeast infection, lip sores, dry coughs, eye pain, minor cuts and bruises, and ready to purchase at botanicaherbalco.com. 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 All right, welcome back to the Farron Dozier Show on MB Radio, right here Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure you catch the episode afterwards. We're on Spotify, YouTube, and all the streaming platforms. This episode next is my Trench Talk episode. I actually had Vic on the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio on Sunday night, and he was actually live in studio. And so I wanted him to come here as him being a veteran to share with our veteran community on this platform about what he's up to and who he is as far as his military service. So up next is Mr. Vic. How you doing, sir?
What's up, Farron? Long time no see, man.
When did I just see you? Sunday night?
Yeah.
Cool, man. How you been?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Plugging along.
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for taking time out this afternoon and
yes, sir.
Being on the platform here. We're not strangers, but do me a favor, introduce yourself and we'll get started.
All right, my name is Victor Oshana. I'm from northern Los Angeles. I live in a town called Santa Clarita. I'm the owner-operator of SCV Dog Training.
So let's go some, life before service. What was going on in life, that had you pick the branch of service that you are in, that you served in for those years?
So grew up, born in New York, raised up in Connecticut, lived in like a pretty poor town. It's called New Britain, Connecticut. And they're home to Stanley Works. Like you probably seen the Stanley tools anywhere you go. They had a whole bunch of factories out there. They kind of went under. They kind of moved out Midwest, and all that land all those buildings became the ghetto, right? Like poor, low income housing. And it was like the New York all over again, but in a central Connecticut. So lower middle class family. Parents were both Middle Eastern from Iran. And my grades they're good, but they were that great to get into college. So I was like, what, if I'm going to make it out of this city, this town, I got to do something for myself. And it was the military.
Back a little bit before the military conversation, I know you play sports. Let's talk about the sports. Grow up in your environment. What was that sports world like for you?
So being Middle Eastern, it was soccer, right? My dad's made me and my brother play soccer. Then got to middle school, and then there was doing all this great basketball and football and tennis and all, and like just we're just naturally athletic due to all the running we did in soccer.
Oh yeah.
And then inner city kids, it was a size large school in New Britain, so we were playing football with some big boys. Tabucky Jones graduated from my high school. He's a Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots. Even Aaron Hernandez, he played in Bristol, Connecticut, and that was from the New England Patriots as well. We played up against him, so a lot of good talent coming out of there.
You mentioned soccer. I didn't realize how popular soccer was. Most people think the NFL or the NBA is a popular sport, but soccer nationwide, globally, I would say, safe to say, right?
Oh yeah, it's billions of people watch soccer and a couple million watch American football, right? So it's a bigger thing. It's a bigger animal. It's been around a lot longer as well.
I have a sports segment on the KCA radio, and we talk about the high school sports. So the transition I've heard from soccer to other sports, developing the footwork is major. Would you agree to that?
100%. You got to be able to stop on a dime, turn, accelerate, and also be able to get yourself between defenders, right? Making a judgmental pass on the run, right? So you got to think of a quarterback, a running gun quarterback who's on his feet. Like I go back to like a Randall Cunningham or Michael Vick. You got to be quick on your feet and be able to make a precision pass. Same thing happens. You're running full speed. You got to stop on a dime and lead a guy into the next position. So it's quite similar.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Your family from Middle Eastern, and you're coming to the United States, and then the class that you say you were in. How did you know you were in the lower class, or how did you deal with that as a young child? Because our peers can be hard on us, right?
Yeah,
our peers can be hard on each other. But how did you deal with that, if at all? Not even.
I didn't realize it when I was in it, right? And because when you're in it, you're a kid. Innocence is bliss, right? Then you start getting older, then you realize it. That's when the other classmates start clowning on you for wearing, I had BK Knights for shoes. Like I had the LA Gear shoes that lit up, and other fools are rocking Jordans, and here I am with whatever mom could scrape together for us, So it was quite humbling, and so it did, like you ever hear that saying, like, just so my kids never have to go through what I did, and that's what we're trying to make sure, leave a better path for them.
What would you say that you took away from mom and dad and experiences now that you're a father of children? So how, looking back on that, what did you take away for yourself that you implement for your children?
Man, you're not holding any punches, bro. You're throwing some questions at me. I mean, to be honest with you, like growing up, I'm the youngest of three siblings. So it's me, my brother, then my sister. And there's always that competition, the favoritism. Who do you love? You love this one more. You love that one more. And my mother told me, it's impossible. I love you all the same. And I love you so much. And she asked me the other day, she called me. She's like, remember, you ask me all the time. She goes, so tell me which one of your kids you love the most. I was like, you can't. I was like, so that's something that stuck with me, is like, I get it. The love of a parent. When you're young, you may not realize it. But when you get older, you see the sacrifices. It's not so much of a sacrifice, because I don't think I make sacrifices for my kid. I just show up. I'm a dad.
Right?
That's my job. There's no like some friends I have. They're like, I got to babysit my kid. I'm like, you babysit your kid. I'm watching my children, educating my children. Right,
bro.
Home is the classroom where they get to study and do all the tests I give them, and then the real world is out there. So it's what I learned is, give your best with them at every chance you get. That's it.
I like how you said sacrifice, because that is one of the words that I remove from my vocabulary, because it makes it feel like you got to give up something to do this, right? And like you said, if you're doing that with your own children, people say that with their sacrifice. And I just believe that if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in life, then it's just life happening, and you're taking on life as it comes. But if as soon as you are words like sacrifices, like I got to give up this to go do this, and then now you feel like you're missing out, or the FOMO, the fear of missing out, kicks in, and it's like, I don't want to be here. And then I think that really gets in the way of us emotionally as people, not just men, but as people.
Yeah. Who are you to think that you're giving like you could be gone tomorrow and the world would not even blink? You know what I mean? So we got to make every day matter. And if you think it's a sacrifice, then you're in it for the wrong reason.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. All right, let's go to the branch of service of choice.
Here we go.
How did that come about? What was going on in life?
I just scored higher than you on the ASVAB, my friend. Nah, to be honest, I was at the recruiting block, if you will, and for all the veterans out there, you know what I'm talking about. They're lined up right next to each other: Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy. Yeah. And my brother was previously engaged with Air Force recruiter. He graduated high school, and then he had one of those, I just want one more summer with my boys, right? I just want one more summer. So he kind of got delayed, and I went to the recruiting block. I was going to go sign up to be a Marine, and the Marine recruiter wasn't there. And, you know, like flies on crap, man. The other recruiters that was there was that Air Force recruiter that already met my parents, my family, my brother. Came, hey, Vic, what are you doing here? I was like, man, you know, I was going to. He's like, man, come in my office. Let's take a look at your stuff. And pulled up my ASVAB scores. And next thing you knew, I was like, he's like, you know, and he got me. He's like, you know, you could be the first one to go instead of your brother. I was like, and
that competition thing, huh?
Sports, the competition. Fair. I swear to you. I went home and I was 18. I signed up and I went home. At dinner, I told everyone, I was like, look, I did it. I'm done. Man, I'm out.
Wow.
2 weeks later, I was gone.
2 weeks later.
My reporting date was April Fool's Day, April 1st, 1998. Yeah.
That transition from your environment, you know, to this military world, how was that for you? Culture shock, or were you pretty much conditioned mentally for it?
I mean, to be honest with you, standing at attention wasn't new to me. We had my pops was like an abusive alcoholic, right? Fighting demons, you know, from the Middle East. Genius of a man, had master's degree, spoke several languages, but he always had a argument with church and state, with the church, the Assyrian church and the Assyrian club. They're two different entities, and he was trying to bridge those communities together. So when he came home, he'd be so frustrated his day that he'd line up me, my brother, my sister, yell at it, and we'd have to stand at attention. So when I went to basic training, like you had grown men, I call them grown men, like 18 years old, 19 years old, crying. I'm like, I'm laughing. I'm like, that's all you got, man? That's it? Yeah. Because they couldn't really hit you back then. 98, there was still some physicality to it, but those TIs hitting you were long gone, you know, not back in your day. Oh, man.
Yeah. Whatever. They was close, though. They was close. Yeah. They was easing up on it, but they was close. So, you know, for me, I can remember probably about the third week of basic training, Army. And I think that day we got smoked. It was one of the roughest days during that time. And, you know, took the shower, we slept in PT gears because we got up at 4:30 in the morning. So you already dressed. So I'm on my top bunk, man. And I'm just looking at the ceiling and my mind is just going all over the place. And then I say to myself, what am I doing here? You know? Yeah. And then it's like that moment when I said that, like my brain clicked and the Farron civilian teenage 19-year-old was done. Oh, yeah. And it became the soldier and the routine. It became a routine, right? Do you remember any of that happening to you? Or do you remember just like the airmen just click over like, okay, this is real life? Or another life.
I don't want to sound like I'm taking your story, man, but I have the same kind of vision. You're in your bunk. That was the only time you had to think, right?
Right.
If you're on your feet, you were doing something and yelled at, you were participating.
Right.
So I would lay down, and I remember I was journaling. I was sending letters home, and I gradually saw as my mentality, as my fitness changed, as my structure was changing. I found myself letting go of that younger Vic, like, yo, that dude is gone, chilling, you know, chilling at the pool hall with the guys or chasing girls. That moment was gone now. And it was exactly what you said. Like, what am I doing? What's my purpose? How do I get in that military mentality? Because we didn't know it back then, but they were breaking us down mentally.
Oh, yeah.
To reprogram us, right?
Yes.
And it was a wide wake up call because I'm like, yo, there's no going home after this. Like, oh, come pick me up, Mom. You signed up for this,
right?
And they made it. They let it be known that if you try to get out or fake you're going to Leavenworth. You're going to go to prison for Article 92, disobeying direct order, breach of contract. I was like, I'm not trying to do that. So
right,
I did have that same, and what was crazy was we had the drop ceilings where all our civilian gear is behind the door. And on the weekends, our TIs used to leave us alone. So I remember me and the crew chief, the flight chief, we popped open the ceiling. We sent our smallest guy over. We got our headphones. We got our Walkmans. We were listening to music. And I was laying down underneath the bed on the bottom rack, and I was just listening to music, and I just saw the shiniest pair of boots, laced up, tucked in.
Oh my God!
And I was like, "Oh no, bro!" He was on a Sunday at noon too. I was like, "Bro, what the hell?"
Oh.
He ran us to death, took all our gear, smashed it. So that's another one of those wake up calls where I knew that this is not this is no more playtime. I can't get a slap on the wrist anymore.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and acknowledging you as a combat veteran, I can only imagine, having to go overseas and having that aspect of the armed forces career be a part of that. When all of us go through the basics of it, and you're already preparing your mind, right, to be prepared to go when it's your time for your unit to be deployed. How was that for you when it was time to get that deployment on and the job that you picked?
Well, some of us are a special kind of crazy, So some of us we trained for, we wanted it, hungry, you're hungry, you wanted it. You're at the time like 18, 19 years old, full of testosterone, around a bunch of other alphas, and that's what you trained for. That's what you wanted to do. Yeah. Now, when you're in there, when you're surrounded by you got rockets, mortars coming in, bullets whizzing by, you're thinking, holy, what that same conversation from day one,
right?
What am I doing, bro?
Right.
Then it's like training takes over. You're like, okay, I go flank position, get here, get down, like cover fire, suppression fire, go like it. You don't have a time to think.
Yeah.
So it was, to me, it was eye opening because my mother was the one who was most concerned because no matter how old you are, how big you are, my mom calls me Tackleberry from Police Academy. If you remember that movie, there's the comedy Police Academy. She'd be like, I don't care where you go, I'm gonna pray for you. And she always liked candles and send me pictures of Mother Mary.
Moms.
Yeah, man, it's beautiful. But I know I'm rambling a little bit, but
no, you're good.
Question,
you're good.
It was when you accept the orders, like you get the orders in front of your boards. It's not like they send you an email, like, hey Vic, you're going, you're at roll call, like Oshana, Rapier, Johnson, Holloman, step up. You guys are getting deployed. Bag drag 0500. All right, so get off duty, go home, pack your bag, and you always had a bag ready, the go bag.
Yeah,
but that's when it really kicked. Like, all right, tomorrow you got 18 million appointments back to back. Go get your shots. Go get this. Go get that.
Yeah, all of that. Looking back, at your career, is there a moment that stands out for you as far as your experience, good, bad, or indifferent, for all three?
Yeah, mine would be, I think I told you the other night, was September 11th, when the planes crashed into the Twin Towers. So I'm originally from New York. So that kind of hit home for me because, New York we have, people say New Yorkers are tough, but we still love each other. It's a love city.
Yeah.
I was part of a QRF, which is a quick response force, and we were assigned to the footprints of the runway. So we handled all the rotators, all the supplies coming into Prince Sultan Air Base. We call it PSAB. So I'm about 6 miles off base in the footprints. We have windstorms at night, so there's really no roads. It's just big sand dunes, and we had those old brick radios that you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
So those things are line of sight. There's no satellite at this point. It's just a tower, that signal hitting that tower. Yeah. And those sand dunes, if you're in between one, you're not getting any comm. So it's mid-morning there or midday there, and all you hear is gunfire. And usually they have weddings, it's celebratory fire, but this was everywhere. 360 people just shooting, cars going crazy everywhere. And I can't get no one on the radio. I just hear broken static. So we get up to the top of one of these dunes. We hear ThreatCon Delta. The base alarm's going off. The Saudis are closing off the base. And we find out that September 11th happened. So we're in ThreatCon Delta. We can't get back on base. The Saudis, our base was inside their base. They shut their base down and we couldn't get back on. So for 3 days, we sit outside the wire. They're throwing MRE boxes over with us. And the Saudis are a specific group that don't let you just go on their base. So they had a representative with us. Wow. And this dude was just, after the first day, he's like, I'm out. He just left and started walking in the desert for me. This dude just left. I was like, bro, and he had a little cricket phone. I was like, bro, I tried to tell command, I'm like, hey, this dude is MIA. He went on his own. We had nothing to do with it. So
wow.
Yeah.
That I can't, like I said, I was actually stationed in Michigan. I had transferred to Michigan, and I was a supply sergeant for Light Guard Armory. And we actually were deployed to protect the border from Canada as that started to happen. I got pictures of you on the flyer holding rockets. Of course, the M4, the weapons. Talk about that part of your service. We all get connected to our weapon. My name, my weapon, my M16 was Betsy. What was your relationship to your weapons and to that whole, to being around all that, man, rockets and missiles and.
Man, it becomes another appendage of you, right? When you're the tip of the spear, you got to be sharp. You got to be on point. So you constantly, if you're in the desert, we constantly have to wipe those things down, make sure they're not heavily oiled so they don't get jammed on you. Because the last thing you want to be is in a tick. Your gun doesn't work. Your gun's jammed, so you can't lay down fire. You can't help your brothers out. But to be around that at first when you're young, I want to take all the pictures, all my boys. Yeah, look at me on the block. I got. But after a while, it was like, how do I hone this instrument? How do I hone this instrument to be, because they say it's not the arrow, it's the Indian. So I had to make sure the Indian was on point. And I was just, I loved it. I challenged myself. So I was on a heavy weapon system. I was the M60, which is probably 240 Bravo now, the old school machine gun.
Yeah.
I started off with that. Then I went to assault gunner, M249 assault machine gun. Got top gunner for that. Then I got marksman for my M4, and it just kept on just trying to hone myself, because you sooner or later you're gonna find yourself knee deep in it, and it's not about those pictures anymore. It's about remember on the range.
It's about that breathe. It's about that breathing and that breath.
Yeah,
and then little squeeze of the trigger. There.
Finger to the tip of the pad.
Right there, the tip. Yeah, right.
Don't get in the crook, because you're gonna pull your shots
at
to the right.
Exhale too. At that space when you exhale,
it differs for people. Some people are better holding it. Some people are better at the exhale. Some people are in the break. It's just there's a lot to it.
The Kentucky windage, we used to
a little bit until you're in a Humvee and you're operating the Mark 19 grenade launcher. I don't need windage. I'm just just walking them in. That's it.
One of the biggest things I know that we say that we miss in your transition out of the service, right?
Yeah.
What was that point of your career? Done, uniform done, boots are done.
What's my purpose? That's what do I do now?
Yeah.
Like my resume at that point read, quick response force team leader, ECP controls, jet sergeant, flight sergeant, and it just didn't translate, right?
Yeah.
It just didn't translate, because I'm giving my resume to people, and finally, like after months without finding a job, not having that good transition, one of my friends said, "Vic, your resume doesn't translate to the civilian life." And they said, "I'm not trying to take any accolades away from you," but they had to break it down to me, say, "Yo, so you're a flight sergeant, so how does that relate?" So something like a project manager, program manager, like I was like, oh, like that. So I had to go bare bones, break it down. So how do I take these skills that I learned here,
right?
Being on an outpost in Kuwait or Jalalabad isn't going to translate to very well for the corporate sector. So
for a corporate office job, right?
Yeah, and you're alone, Farron. Although you're surrounded by your friends and family that you miss so much, and you wrote and you FaceTime and you Skype at the time, you're with them, but you're alone. you're alone in the fact that my brother's not there. My brother's in camaraderie, right? Like if you're in a DFP and my foot's touching your foot, you're covering 12 to 6. I'm from 12 to 5 on this side. It just doesn't translate because there's a lot of I call it corporate espionage. All these people just trying to throw you under the bus to get themselves promoted. Which in the military we didn't do that. It was you bleed green, I bleed green. That's it.
Yeah. I appreciate you pointing that out because for me, even one of the conversations that we had is that from day one, you can't worry about where your wife, your girlfriend. Because if you're over here daydreaming, you can get your whole squad killed and all this other stuff, right? And so at 19, I took all that to heart. Like, oh shoot, what I could articulate to you today is yes, that allowed me to. I was already an emotional child. That allowed me to even suppress my emotions even more, right? To disconnect from my family, and so I can only, for myself now. I've been retired now 12 years. It's still different mindset to reconnect with family because I still miss the camaraderie of the service. Yet here I am as a grandpa now, and I've got to be present and engaged. But there's still a little bit of disconnect from the family because you've learned to suppress those emotions, deeply.
Yeah, I think we brought it up the other night, Sunday night. Like I think you would benefit from it. Well, you benefit from it with this show, and that's a great outlet for you. I'm proud of you for that. Good job. I think I need to invest some time in the VFW or Legion, just so I can surround myself with, because some of the stories you'll tell, like we'll be around the fire pit, like, and I'll be on a guy's trip. And he'll tell us something about the thing. Yeah. And I'll tell a story. And if you weren't there, one or two things are happening. You're like, wow, right? I can't even fathom it. Or B, this dude is bullshit. Like it's not even real, right? That's not real. But when my friends come and visit, and we're back at that same fire spot, the fireplace. Remember that time we were in Diego Garcia on a volcanic rim of an island, and we broke into the morgue, which was used as a beer cooler because people were drinking too much on base, and we got beer for the party. He's like, yeah, I was there. And then people are like, that shit was real. I'm like, yeah, bro. I'm like, but you would never believe a story like that because it sounds like something made up on TV. Yeah. But stuff like that happened. You know what I'm saying? There's no statute of limitations. So if any of my first audience watch this, it's over. You can't get me.
But I appreciate you acknowledging the show because this actually became my therapy initially. This is what I found broadcasting 15 years ago, lost and life is over. And, we all find our different ways of therapy, right? Our own personal ways. And we go I definitely suggest going to the VA, taking cognitive behavior. But sometimes you got to rediscover yourself. And this became from a hobby, to a passion that I've been at it for 15 years now. And so this is like my own personal therapy. Being connected to people like you who serve. When you meet a veteran, it doesn't matter what age, what branch, what color. It's like we are instantly connected as brothers and sisters at arms.
Except the Coast Guard.
I told you I got friends in the Coast Guard, bro.
I'm kidding, bro. I'm kidding. Those guys.
Yeah. So in your transition, I remember that briefing was like, hey, you're not gonna find your job until probably your third or fourth job before you find a place to settle in. Yeah. You creating, your dog training business. Tell me, how did that come about?
Man, I was a senior account executive for a software company. I was the number one sales guy for the last 3 years, and they kept on having to move the quota bar because of me. Right, I was just closing deals and making it so. After the pandemic, still made it through, and they just started cutting people and cutting our funds. And I saw the writing on the wall, but I survived like 5 rounds of layoffs. I was like, all right, man, I'm like, this ain't a good way to live, but I'm still paying the bills. I'm still doing good. I'm still making passive income with all the side, the commissions and stuff. Yeah. And then I started training a new guy, and I didn't see the writing on the wall there. That new guy was my replacement. Young kids straight out of college. Snap! And they could pay him less now, and they could rewrite the commission straps, the steps, because So
he's new.
he's new. So I got kind of beat up about it, and I was feeling down for about a day or two. And then my amazing wife said, get your head up, man. Get your head out of that. And she went and she opened her computer, and she had gone and built me a website, SCV Dog Trainer. She goes, "You're good at this. People talk highly about you," because I started doing it word of mouth just for friends in the circle.
Yeah.
And I trained the guys Belgian Malinois. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Belgian Malinois, but that's like the Corvette of dogs for police dogs, military.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So one guy called me up. He goes, "I got your number from this guy named Joe." I go, What? He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I went to this busy corner store, like a bodega, and I walk in, and there's a Belgian Malinois sitting there, not moving. And the guy's shopping, and he comes back, and he goes, 'I want to know who trained your dog.'" And he goes, "That's not." And I was like, "That's what's up." So,
oh wow.
So I just been, since February, I've been running with it, man. Just word of mouth. I got the website. I did a couple. I think you found me with one of my Facebook ads.
Yeah, when your ads, yes.
Yeah, man. I got a Belgian Malinois downstairs that I'm training right now.
Really?
Yeah, he's a beast.
So our campaign for the Inland Empire Hounds, it was one of the reasons why I saw you. My algorithm just came all dogs from all the dog ads. I got them all now.
Oh yeah,
I got them all from all over the world. How is that for you? I mean, what is that experience like to be able to connect with an animal and all the training that we go through? I know I trained my boxer, Daisy. I could just move my eyes, and she knew what command that was. So I know that we have the ability to train us. And so how's that for you? That experience.
I mean, it's amazing, and I'll tell you why. It's amazing because you don't get to understand, like, when people train their dogs, they have oh my God, she's doing it because of this. I'm like, you have no idea what you like when you learn the psychology behind how a dog's brain works and the science behind it. It's almost like a cheat code, because I get a high off of it, because I'll see people, they're like, "I had this problem with the dog." Within the first 5 minutes, Farron, I already fixed their problem, and the person is giggling, like giddy giggling, like, "Wait, I can't believe it." And it's that hope that I give them.
Yeah.
So for me is when I see a dog, like you said, those eye contacts, those eye movements,
the
dog knows, a dog person knows a dog, and a dog knows a dog person. They're like, we get it. So for me, it's a good feeling, because not only is the owner frustrated, right? Because your dog's barking, not listening, but at the same time, that dog has some feelings too. That dog is going through the same mental anguish that you are, but doesn't know how to show you except by chewing your shit up, barking, digging holes, not listening, because the communication ain't there. Yeah, so I just try to act as that bridge and get people to speak to their dog correctly.
Yeah. What's the plan for that? Are you looking to just keep it, word of mouth? Or are you looking to go citywide, or what?
I'm growing that. I did those Facebook ads. That's how you found me. So I've been expanding. Cool. I need some help with meta advertising. If someone out there could help me, because I went in my analytics and I checked it, and I said, "Hey, I wanted to hyper focus, like, geofence around my area, SCV, Santa Clarita Valley." And I thought I did that, but then I opened it, and there's just a one map pin drop in the middle of the United States, and so it's covering the entire U.S. So I got people from Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, Florida, New York, the Hamptons.
What?
I'm like, "Hey, I'd love to help you. Like, where are you located?" They're like, "Oh, I'm in Texas." I'm like, "Bro, I can't." I'm like, I can do. Which, here's the thing, I do offer video and phone conferencing, and I have these booklets of, you tell me what your issue is, I'll send you that booklet. And a video of how to do it, right? So I'm working on the videos. I have dogs that I work with that I can show these problems, but for people who are really hurting, that need help, there's always a solution.
You gotta be that. You gotta be on ground.
Yeah,
you gotta be there, man. Anything that I missed that you want to share, or anything that you want to touch on something?
Yeah, man. If anyone needs any dog training in the LA area, scvdogtrainer.com. My name is Victor. 661-221-5008 is the phone number. Hit me up, man. I'll be happy to help you guys out.
And I definitely look forward to connecting you with us as the IE Hounds. We got 6 home games. We got two tournament games, which is 4 games. That's going to count for home, but we got 6 official home games. So I would love for you to pick one of those when I give you the schedule published. Pick one, come and hang out with us.
Right.
Invite folks out and maybe get some funds to help you. You might be able to go travel to somebody.
Absolutely, man. Hit me up, man. Let me know. Let me know when that your sports show comes on, man. I'd love to be a guest on there. I'll chop it up with you.
Sunday night. More than welcome.
You already know. Just let me know what the topic is. I could brush up on what we're talking about. And
they're ramping up right now. So football season is coming in. So my sports crew is ramping up right now. Okay. To have some sports talk, man. So thank you again for your time, bro. I really appreciate you for hanging out on the MB radio platform with me today and sharing your story, man.
Thank you so much, brother. Keep your head down.
Anything you want to say to your family? Shouts out to you.
Shout out to my kids again, Charlie, Libby, Remy, Ramsey. I love you so much. Thank you so much, Farron, for this opportunity. I really do think you're doing the Lord's work, man, reaching out, putting all these people together, these puzzle pieces. And he put you in my life for a reason. So I hope this thing flourishes and grows a lot more.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you for saying that. Thank you.
All right, brother. Be good. Goodbye, everybody.
All right. This is the Farron Dozier Show on MB Radio. Again, thank you to Vic for calling in and being on the line, sharing his story. The Trench Talk conversation before, during, and after service. That is something that's near and dear to my heart. I do have a show called Music Marks Place and Time, the soundtrack to life. And so sometimes we, on the platforms that I can play music, there would be music added to those conversations to paint a bigger picture of those conversations about our life. I believe everybody has a soundtrack. All right, so we're going to come back. I'm going to play a couple PSAs. My next guest, Chad, is here. Again, just thank you all for being a part of this conversation today. I actually want to play one of these songs. Let's go here. This is the Farron Dozier Show on MB Radio. Shout us out. What's the count?
To a hero, I say, I hope to see you again on some sunny day. And to a hero, and the love you left behind, I'll try my best to pass it on till the end of my time. And to a hero, you're gone, but I have no doubt that you have made it home. And to a hero taken way too soon, over there in that dusty country, an Afghan afternoon. To a hero and the little one you left behind, I hope he grows up with your passion, I'm sure he will with time. And to a hero, a warrior through and through, you were taken way too early, what can we do? Well, we can try to keep your spirits alive, we can try to be nice, we can not take for granted all the beautiful things in our lives. We can be the change we want to see, and we can listen to the wind pass through the trees, and speak the words we know are true for our heroes. This is what we can do. To all the heroes taken from our lives, at home or in those countries, fighting for what's right. Now we can do this for you and all your kin, and make this world a better place for your kids to grow up in. And we can try to be true, admit when we don't have a clue, and be there with the ones we love until our time is good and through. And we can be the change we want to see, and we can listen to the wind pass through This is what we can do. Yeah, we can try to keep your spirits alive, and we can try to be nice. We can not take for granted all the beautiful things in our lives. We can be the change we want to see, and we can listen to the wind pass through the trees. We can speak the words we know are true for our heroes. This is what we can do. Well, to a hero I say, I hope to see you again on some sunny day. All right, to a hero.
Welcome back to the Farron Dozier Show on MB Radio. You know, we got a lot of songs that we can pick to choose and play in here, and I've never picked that song before. Just listening to the lyrics, this is why I know that we all have a soundtrack to life, and a lot of, I mean, this music is so powerful, right? We know that. And just listening to those words and me sitting here and reflecting in my own life, listen to Vic share his service, my brothers and sisters on this platform who are here finding their voice. This is us, right? So if you'd like to contribute to MB Radio, make sure you go to mbradio.us, donate to this platform. They don't charge us. They do all of this, supply all of this for us. For some veterans, they supply equipment. They train them. Everything here to give that veteran a voice to find and share, express themselves. A lot of us are just looking for what's next. I was blessed to discover my sickle cell trait, that God showed me that my sickle cell trait that was given to me in my mother's womb, that the military career was just part of the journey, that actually my voice is for that community. And so I use all the military background, the development, the confidence, the training, all of that I've spent 24 years in that service. That transitions over to my advocacy work. And so if you'd like to contribute to this platform, mbradio.us, you can go there and donate and support these veterans, my brothers and sisters, and our first responders as well. I was on a show Sunday morning on KCA Radio, Empire Talks Back, and I didn't know that there was going to be some other veterans there, but they were, and I knew one of them, and he's a Vietnam era veteran, and he said that there are about 30% left of that era of veterans. They're all now in their 70s and 80s, and there's about 30% of those who served during the Vietnam era still around. And for various reasons, of course, age-wise, of course, but also from the health issues that they had succumbed to. Back then, it wasn't PTSD, it was shell shock. I remember the term of shell shock. You know, they really didn't have a lot of mental health conversations back then. So a lot of them self-medicated. A lot of them were self-medicating over there in the country and came home with that. And so, yeah, I didn't realize that generation has reduced to about 30% of those Vietnam era veterans. And so, as Vic was saying, you know, there's a lot of ways that we can get involved as service members, the American Legion, VFWs. Those locations are also ran by our older generation of veterans, and so they're in their 60s, 70s, 80s, still in those locations. And so, if we don't start to find a place in those environments, the VFWs and American Legions, then what's going to happen to those locations where all that history is, right? And so even myself, I'm reevaluating how I haven't participated in the American Legion or VFW in a few years. And I have some ideas that I'm looking at that could help bring that veteran community out in those locations and start to rebuild those memberships in those locations so they could be a family oriented space where I could go to if I'm feeling a certain way. I could go to the VFW or American Legion and play some pool and sit with another veteran as I sit here with my community. So yes, that song, yeah, just makes you think about life. So again, I appreciate you for listening in the Farron Dozier Show on MB Radio. I got one more guest. Again, in this search of supporting the Inland Empire Hounds and our basketball season this year for the Love of Dogs campaign. So we're looking for breeders to grief counseling for pet owners like myself to brand with us, to support. So we have marketing platforms, marketing ways that you can brand with us for the season. Help us cover some of our expenses. It does cost money. It's not free. Help players get paid and things like that. So if you'd like to be a part of that campaign, that's just one of many. Or bring your own ideas to the table, and you can support us, and we can support you in using our platform to get your message out into the community. So my next guest here is Chad. Chad was actually also on Sunday night. I thought that was going to be like a 7 to 10 minute conversation, but my man just came on the line and he was just speaking to some whole life of stuff that I have been sharing. I didn't even realize that he had looked at the other stuff and just dropped some information. And I was just like, wow, man, you got to come back. And so I invited him back here on this platform to share. So up next is Chad. How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Thank you very much for having me back on. I'm sorry for just spilling that all out. As you get to know me, you'll know that I kind of just share anything and everything. I'm definitely an open book, and sometimes I kind of run on, so I apologize.
No. Actually, it was perfect. It was perfect because my shows are 99% organic, and so when you came on the line and you shared that information, it really was like, wow. Like you sometimes, I mean, I've learned even my advocacy work, even with these talk shows, people look at how many people watch and all that, but it's not about that with me. You just never know who's going to hear that conversation either that day or later down the line. And so when you came on and you shared what you shared, I was like, well, this is serious. This is more than just about dogs. This is about someone who heard some conversations that it resonated with you and you could see something for yourself, and you shared that. And so I appreciate that, for you bringing that up. So do me a favor, introduce yourself. If you can adjust your camera just a little bit, your top of your head is cut off just a little bit.
Sure. I apologize.
Yeah. No, you're good. I don't want to.
Let's see if I can do.
Yeah, there you go.
A little bit of this.
Yeah, just want to make sure you're not cut off. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
So do me a favor. Yeah, introduce yourself.
So first off, again, because I'm on the MB radio and I said it before, I got to say it here. Thank you to all the heroes. That song was perfect, by the way. I feel like you and I have a very similar mindset to life, and everybody has a soundtrack and all that. And wow, what a song! But thank you to all the heroes out there, wherever you are now, or if you're a family member of a hero that's somewhere out there that has sacrificed, made the ultimate sacrifice.
Thank you.
They're never forgotten. We may not know their name, but we know what they did for us.
Yeah.
And we just want to say thank you very much. And a little choked up from that. I'm a very emotional guy.
So, no, it's okay. You're in the right space.
My name's Chad Boone. I'm based out of Akron, Ohio. And so pretty far away from California there. But I shared very quickly early childhood, 6 years old, just as I became baptized. My parents got divorced. I was living in Missouri at the time, and my dad basically abducted me and my older sister, and took us off to Oklahoma. And my sister has since heard this, and full disclosure, she doesn't want me to get too far into the weeds.
No problem.
Her
No
personal
problem.
life too.
Of course.
So, but we carry that baggage, that trauma, and I was saying about, you got to give everybody grace. You don't know what they've been through, just from seeing them face to face or having a conversation. And sometimes you can know somebody for decades and never know what they've gone through.
Right.
And so being abducted and my mom coming around, finding out where we were and getting us back. And this was early 80s, like 81, 82.
Yeah.
And it took until I didn't have a guy in my life. I didn't have guidance until my stepdad, now my dad, I call him my dad, came into my life, as an early teen, and showed me what it meant to be a man and how to treat a woman and how to sacrifice for your family and work 3 jobs, and just learning life at that point. And unfortunately, my family dynamic, my father came back in, my biological father came back into my life, and we kind of had to navigate and had this pull and tug of that whole situation till the day he died. And I believe we made amends, even though he never admitted to what he did, which does cause issues for people, when people don't own up to what they've done, or good or bad, it causes trauma on somebody else. So I feel like you really need to if you did somebody wrong, own up to it. Apologize, give them some closure, because both my sister and I and my mom, frankly, have all seen repetitive cycles of how this trauma affects our daily life,
no doubt,
personal life, work life, inner relationships between us. So how it affects my stepdad, my dad, so seek counseling if you seek counseling. I commend you on this radio program. By the way, I'm now going to be a constant listener.
No, thank you.
It's a fantastic show.
I want to share what you pointed to. For me, when I hear you share what you shared, I can't even imagine. I look at my daughters, right? I can't even imagine what it would take for a father to go and remove his children from where they live, right? Like, you look at that from a level of love, right? But then also, what was he dealing with, right?
Right.
And growing up in his environment as a child, that would have a person say, you know what, I don't care what I'm going to get my children, because I want to be with my children, to the point where I will abduct the child. Like, there's so many mixed emotions and things going on, as you said. But if to look at that from how much love that he wanted to have for y'all, that he would take you in that fashion to be with you, right? That's something. That's something for a man to be at that point. And we forget, as adults, we were children before, right? And so what is that for that adult to have the mentality and have the capability to go that far? And just, I can't even imagine doing that with my children, like just go take them from their mother and just taking off. Like, yes, it's from love, but there's so much, like you said, connected to that. What is that? And I appreciate you for saying that, regardless of how it looks for you, that you can say that you have some level of closure, right? Because that's going to be the biggest thing for you moving forward, as being forgiving to him, so that you don't carry that for yourself, right? That forgiveness is always for us. It's not for just them. It gives them an opportunity to self-reflect at some point, but really with that, the space of forgiveness is for us to be able to be free from those emotional stuff, and like you said, and then seek the help that we need to start to put those pieces back for ourselves.
Amen.
But that's what I heard when you shared how you shared your experience. There's a love. There was a love there for sure for your father. There was a love there, but extreme. It comes across.
Amen.
Comes across as sometimes
knowing
chaos.
Knowing what kind of trouble he could have gotten into.
Right. Like he risked it.
Go to jail. He didn't go to prison.
Right.
He was a former. He's an Army veteran.
Yeah.
He was in Vietnam.
Yeah.
He would not talk about what happened there. I mean, I know you can't see it from here, but since he passed, I felt compelled to get all of his medals. Seeking out.
That's cool.
What I could get and what he was awarded, and put together a plaque.
That's cool.
And there are issues that we carry that why, what, and there are other issues of, okay, I know he loved me.
Yeah.
To go through that, but it's tough, and it also burdened myself in the point that I never wanted children because I was afraid that, I was always afraid that, what would happen.
Yeah.
That's why I got married. Shortly after we got married, we got Hershey, our little dachshund, 4-month-old. She was our child. We like to think that she passed away at 18 years, 2 months and 2 weeks. This past October.
Wow.
2 months after 2 weeks after my birthday. And we have grown to the point where, we went through the cycle of trauma and trying to heal, and we still are.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, and we were starting to kind of try to, I'd say joking, but trying to heal and saying, well, she went off to college. She's at doggy college somewhere, or she's Jesus lapdog now, right? And
I'm laughing because when my dad passed, that level of denial that I was in, it was like he was on vacation, right? It was like he's on vacation, because we would go, because of how I treated him, I would get mad at him and we would not talk for maybe a couple of weeks, a couple of months. There had been a span of where years went by where we didn't talk because I was mad at him subconsciously, not knowing what it was, but it was that disconnection. And then so when he passed, that came to mind because we would not talk for maybe 3 or 4 days. So it wouldn't be unusual to not hear from him. And so, but a part of my grief process was, he's out of town. It was like he's out of town right now.
But when that reality hits, that
of course,
it's been a few weeks, it's been a few months.
Of course.
Yeah. Did you have a good relationship growing up with your father?
I did, but that decision that I made about my dad was at 5. And so I made up a story that he didn't love me as a 5-year-old. And so for those, and I didn't discover that story until 40. So you can imagine for 35 years, my heart was disconnected from him because I always thought that he didn't love me. And no matter what he did, it was because he was making up for that. But I didn't say that. I never said that out of my mouth, but it was how my mind talked to Farron about his father. And so, of course, you collect evidence. The subconscious mind is perfect for collecting evidence to reiterate that you're not good enough, that he doesn't care about you, and all those stories that we make up about ourselves. So at 40, I had enough evidence, that I treated him as such. I was very mean to my dad. I was very hard. I would cut him off in conversations. Again, we would go weeks and months without speaking because of the pain that I felt from a 5-year-old decision, right? And so to discover that at 40 and to realize that it wasn't him, it was me, and the decision I made, it was like I had 8 years, after healing with him and asking him to forgive me. So I went to him for forgiveness. I asked him to forgive me because I saw how I treated him. And all he said was, I just want to spend time with you. You're my son. So none of that had ever impacted him. I was the one carrying all of that upset and disappointment, and he don't love me. And I never expressed that till 40. So we had 8 years after that to reconnect. I got my dad back at 40. And all that stuff disappeared. All of the negative, I realized that it was me. So I took responsibility for that behavior, right? And I became, instead of being upset and frustrated with my dad, I became acknowledgement and gratitude and fun. And so our relationship flourished because I was aware of who I was being with him. And he just wanted to spend time with me. So that transformed my relationship. I got my dad back, like I said, for 8 years, and then he passed away. So the resentment, the regrets was disappeared at 40. So all those emotions turned to, well, no wonder. And I had sat with him like, what was going on? What was going on when you were born? Like, what was going on in your environment? And when he told me the stories, then it was like, well, no wonder you act like that. Well, no wonder you behave like that. I remember my grandfather's. Well, no wonder. So then it wasn't him that I had the alt with. And that literally transformed my relationship with him. And that's one of the things that I teach and share from, because a lot of things come with our parents, as children. And the brain of a child, I didn't know what it was to be an adult back in the 70s. Like, I had no clue. But our brain is developing. We discount the child's development stages, and that brain is giving meaning to life from birth. Even they say in the womb, stuff can go on. So when you understand that and you do the work in that and you free yourself from that, then it's like, well, then I wonder what this other person's dealing with. Now it's not about, that's where that humility, that empathy becomes natural, because you've done your own work and you can see how I was horrible in my language. Then it's like, then you give people grace, as you pointed to. Then you give people the space to be themselves, because then what are you dealing with? Like, what is going on? And then people tell you out of their mouth what they're dealing with. If you listen, we say everything that we're dealing with. And so that has been, for me, one of the biggest things in my life at that age of 40, to kind of put pieces back together. But then when he passed, it was a whole nother piece that I had to deal with, because I missed the humanness. I was complete, no regrets, no resentment, but then the humanness is what I experienced missing, as with my dog and my grandfather. So that's the part that we got to learn how to manage. As I said, he's on vacation, as I stated. He's out of town right now. He didn't die. He's out of town right now.
Right.
But you have to deal with the reality of it at some point.
Right. Now, did you feel, because I didn't have children, human children.
Yeah.
Did that come about at a certain point after having kids?
What
being able to see your father's side and realizing that you had put some kind of
no, my daughters were in their 20s and teenage years. Yeah.
I just didn't know if maybe you and one of your daughters or maybe had something and you're like, oh, it clicked.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, you want to talk about that aspect of it. After I discovered how I was with my mom and dad, because I made up a story about my mom as well. When I reconciled with my parents at 40, I realized that my daughters, I had treated them the same way that my dad treated me. So then, yes, I had to pivot to my daughters and go back to them and ask them to forgive me for how I treated them and raised them. And I gave each one the space to tell me how they felt about me. And boy, buddy, it was my oldest daughter was like, I forgive you, but I'll talk to you when I'm ready to, on my own terms. And I'm like, okay, I respect that. My middle daughter, she cursed me out for about 1 hour and 45 minutes. And when that was done, I asked her to forgive me and to give me an opportunity to be her parent. I wasn't a parent. I was a father, but I wasn't a parent to them. And so she said, yes, I forgive you. And she tested me along the way. But today you couldn't even tell that we had that conversation because of the space that was the healing. And my youngest daughter, because I was there when she was born and raised her, there was a couple of things, but it wasn't as traumatic because she was younger. So yeah, each phase of that, I had to go back and take responsibility for how I raised my daughters, because I did the same thing to my children as I thought my parents did to me. Mm-hmm. So yes, they call those generational consequences and curses and things like that. Yes, those are real. Those are, and they show up how they show up, because I turned out like my mom. I'm the version of my mom in my life experience. And so when I saw that at 40, when I talked to my mom, she was like, "Oh my goodness, I forgot about you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She was so worried and making sure that my sisters understood how to have a relationship and was taking care, whatever that was. But I was the oldest, so it wasn't a conversation. I was the boy, but I needed that conversation as well. So I thought, no, mom, don't worry about it. I today I take responsibility for my life. I don't blame you. I don't blame anyone, and I recognize that these were my choices. And so I even healed with my mom. So those were the things that I teach from today, because yes, as a veteran, we joined the military with a lot of stuff already, and then the military sometimes exasperates those emotions and things like that, and then you have all these things that you never dealt with in your past, and then now your career is over, your life is over, or whatever, and then I had to go back and not, I got my life back as not wanting to commit suicide or take my life. I got that back, but I got my life back from my childhood, and that takes work, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that work because it's painful. It's you got to go back and allow your body to experience those emotions, because we have those body sensations. The body keeps the score, so we have those body sensations, and the thoughts can trigger the body sensation, or sometimes the body sensation happens on its own, and then the thought comes. Why do I feel like that? Oh, that's that from the past. So all of that is working, in its own space. And for me, the biggest part I know when I get to the healing phase of it is because I experience it in my body. I experience that emotion of that trauma. I know where it's coming from now. I can think about it and I can feel it, and then I have to let that pass through. And the moment that you allow that body sensation to go through, then it's no longer connected to the thought anymore, and because you're aware of where it's coming from. But that's 15 years of work, though, to go through these phases of, dealing with our emotional trauma.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate you saying that. That is one thing that I do struggle with still to this day, is that physical response.
The body sensations?
Yeah, the body sensations, and
yes,
there's times where I let it take control of me.
Yes.
To be honest. And
yes.
I would like to say, that I would like to say that I have control over it. I don't at times, you revert back to that 5 or 6 year old child.
Right.
That you couldn't defend yourself.
Right.
During the situation. So what does a child typically do? A child either acts out or a child shuts down.
Right.
And I'm the type that shuts down. I get defensive and I shut down.
Right. That's me. That's me.
So I, when it comes to adversity, which is another reason why I commend military, is if I was in that stressful of a situation, I don't think I can handle it, to be honest. Vic was a great conversation with Vic.
Yeah.
And just hearing, what you guys go through, I'm sure they help train some of that out of you. But the body keeps memories.
No, and you can ask a lot of veterans. They teach us how to turn it on, but not to turn it off. And that's really what we see with the high rate of suicide. That's what we see with the high rate of homelessness. Because as we shared, when my brain clicked over in basic training, Farron, the civilian teenager, was gone. I became a soldier. My identity shifted. So for those who have identity crisis, right? Because some people do, mine was connected to that uniform. So when that was taken away, I was lost. So to go back to what you said,
didn't have teenage.
Right. Because I was now. So who am I? Right. So who am I? And with the body sensation, I'll tell you this: mine was so bad, man, Chad, that when I felt those traumas, and there were different ones, I could feel it in my legs to the point where I couldn't even walk, like I'm crippled, right? So it was so much body pain sensation that I would just go lay down and I would just go sleep it off. And sometimes I could sleep it off in an hour, and there's sometimes I got to sleep the rest of the day off because I just could not. The body just would not stop feeling the emotional pain of whatever the thought that was it whether it was a past relationship or a past trauma or whatever. Mine was in my legs, and I would literally be crippled. And what helped me was I had to, after I got divorced and I was in the house by myself because that's what I wanted, right, to get my peace and try to figure out who I was. I realized that I had in my mind alone and lonely felt the same. It was the same body sensation, right? So when I felt I was alone or I was lonely, my body went into that emotional shock. And that's what I suffered from. So I would be here, I just go lay down. Like I said, I'd be by myself. I just got to go sleep it off. But as soon as I got into a conversation where I separated the difference between being alone and lonely, they're not the same.
Right.
So when I separated the thought and did the work around that, it disconnected from the body sensation from being alone and lonely. Now I could think about it right now, and I can have some of those feelings come in my body just from thinking about it. But I know where it's coming from. So
right.
When it shows up, oh, that's what that is, and I could push past it. But when you think that how our mind talks to us, and that's us, I thought my mind was me. The subconscious mind is not us. That's designed to keep us safe.
Right.
A lot of things that we're not even present that the brain does automatically to keep us alive.
Right.
So your spirit is the one that's observing all the conversations in your head and all that. So when you learn, like I said, when you learn that, it's like, okay, wait a minute. I have feelings and emotions and I don't have to become them. Like that was a transformative breakthrough that I was able to then look at. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely.
Boy, that resonates because that is one of my biggest hurdles in life is alone but not lonely. I have a lot of the issues when I'm physically alone.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from the childhood and the abandonment. I stated in the previous episode that my father actually, during the whole, there was a fight before, my mom came back and we were getting some things before we had family coming from Ohio down to get us. And we had went back to the apartment after being in a women's shelter, and we went to get some stuff. And my father showed up before anybody else got there, and there was a fight. And I saw him, hit my mom, smack my sister across the room. And I don't remember him ever being violent or anything.
Yeah.
And then, I remember sitting in a corner by the refrigerator, seeing everything. And next thing I know, I remember, flashback, okay, I'm sitting in a car and my dad tells me, just remember, I will always love you. And then I'm being handed back to my mom. And that's my grandfather, my cousin. And off we go, and we're in the back of a little pickup truck.
Wow.
Right. And I don't see him again until I'm like, I think I was like 10, 11. I think I said 12, 13. I was like 10, 11.
Right.
So, it's like, I have abandonment issues.
For sure.
And that's part of the reason why I love animals and I love people. And I look for, like I told you, my wife and we volunteer at our church. Shout out to the Chaplain Green in Uniontown, Ohio. We volunteer with the special needs ministry there. And, because that is a part of society that's forgotten a lot of times, just like homeless, just like, frankly, the military, in my opinion. And like next week, we have a thing called Jesus Prom that, we're going to, and there's typically, I think, like 100 or 2 people with special needs that come out, and we have we have a big old party, and they can dance and have games, and we got local cheerleaders from some of the high schools are there cheering them on, coming down a red carpet, and the whole thing, right? And so anyway, it's in the bad sense, it's given me these body sensations and these things that I need to overcome. And you've just helped me a lot with that because, you know, it is the body is just a tent, you know, our spirit is in, you know, and it's also very much, you know, Adam was made from the dirt, right? And this is dirt. You know, this carries the scent, not the spirit.
Right.
And once we get the idea of that, which you just helped me realize, that fear is the sin.
Yeah.
Once we can overcome that and detach ourselves from that sin, you're good.
You're good.
Right?
You're good.
So thank you for that. You actually just made something click for me. And that I've been struggling for my whole life with. So now I just got to make it work. But that's another reason why I started that pet transport business is after we lost Hershey. And frankly, another side story is I am a cancer survivor. I had kidney cancer and I had kidney cancer surgery in February 12th of 2018.
No kidding.
And that was found because of Hershey and my wife convincing me to go to the hospital. And it turned out it was something completely different.
Wow.
And Hershey was just acting weird one night and wouldn't let me
Wow.
sleep.
Wow.
Just restless. And so I went to try to make her comfortable in the living room where she's normally at all day. And next thing I know, I start getting these weird other feelings. Wife,
no
way.
Way.
A heart attack. I'm like, I don't think so. I feel like I'm too young for this, right? And we go to the hospital, and you know, I had taken a Benadryl because I couldn't sleep.
Wow.
And the Benadryl's kicking in. They're like, hey, we're gonna go take you for a scan. Okay, zonk out. You know, wake back up. They're like, well, we think we found something on your scan.
Oh my
Follow up with
goodness.
the doctor. We're not sure. It's probably nothing. So then I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to go to the doctor. I don't want to know if they found.
You better get me while I'm here right now, right? You better get me while I'm here.
My brain, aka my wife, is telling me to go to the doctor, so I go to the doctor. And sure enough, they found cancer. Found out the day after Christmas.
Wow.
And my mother-in-law's birthday.
Wow.
I had surgery in February, the day after my mother's birthday. You know, day of surgery, my mom's like, I love you. Don't ever forget. You know, if something happens, I'm like, one, you know, I'll be in heaven. So, you know, it's like, I don't
that's
know
the promotion. You know, I'm good.
All that bad stuff will be gone, right? You know, I'm not supposed to remember all that.
Right.
And then it's like, number two, I'm like, Mom, I have a sense of peace after I've already cried it out, right? Man cried it out. Like, I'm going to die. And, but like, you know, I told her, like, I'm just going to go take an expensive nap.
Yeah.
You know, God has me either way. I'm at peace, right? If I pass away on that table, it's best day ever for me because I'm with him.
Yes.
You know, if not, I'm just here back with you guys and it's still good, right?
Right.
And so that's another reason why I started it is to honor her legacy, right?
Yes.
Every animal, you know, I don't know what other animal out there might be able to give somebody else their life back.
I don't know.
Right? So let's find them all a home. Let's find them the right spot, whether it's a breeder, a rescue, humane society, somewhere one found off the street, right? You know, we don't know. And or you're just a pet owner and you have to move, or you're in the military and you need to, you know, you found one while you're away at service and you want it brought back. You know, and that dog is helping you heal.
Yes.
You know, I'm here for you. And I'm a fairly new company, but you know, I'm small but mighty. I actually am talking to somebody that I just got started yesterday. Brace yourself.
Okay.
Her and her husband are in Chicago, moving to Greece.
Wow.
They want to move 20 cats.
What?
20 cats.
20 cats.
20 cats, international travel. So I'm feeling that situation out as we speak.
What?
Well, not as we speak, but you know.
What?
Yeah. So but it's possible. Okay. So
it is.
Yes, it costs money. And I'm not just talking about my fee.
Yeah.
I need profits in order to operate. I work a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
This isn't my full-time job.
Yeah.
Would I love to do it full-time? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But my main objective is the legacy, Hershey's legacy.
Yeah. Thank you.
And trying to help others. It's people and pets, right? It's
Yeah.
God, people, pets.
Right.
Right.
That's what we're doing what Adam was naming the animals, and that was his duty to take care of the animals on this planet.
Right. And animals were very important apparently to God because he put that in there really early. Right.
Right. Exactly.
So, and we all know, if anybody's people that are listening to you, they know how important Daisy was.
Yeah.
And what she's done for you. And
yeah.
I know you have a hole in your heart right now.
Yeah.
Right. And it's hard and you may never get over it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. I can tell you as a pet owner and having pets over my life, but I never truly attached myself to one like Hershey.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like that's the same way for you.
Yeah.
If you never get over that hurt and be able to find another pet, that's okay. Because that's what God meant for that situation, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But if you do, this is what my wife and I are trying to go through right now, are going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
We went from we never want another dog.
Yeah.
Right. We can't. We started mourning her, we realized, before she was gone. Because she was taking vitamin B shots. She had a heart murmur. She was, she was starting to not go blind, but she started getting dementia. And she was going through her health issues.
Yeah.
And I personally would give her the shots. We would give her the pills, and she literally got to a point where she was pushing my hand away.
Wow.
Like, I don't want them anymore.
Wow.
Like, literally that day.
Wow.
Kind of like if you're an elderly parent or grandparent, you're like, I'm done.
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done.
And we would said we don't want another one.
Yeah.
We can't go through that hurt.
Mm-mm.
We just can't do it. Maybe, but we don't want to tarnish her legacy. We don't want her forgotten.
Yeah.
To realizing that for us, Hershey was kind of the glue in the relationship a little bit. We're okay we love each other and we're okay together.
Yeah.
We love each other and that'll never change. We'll never be apart. But she was such a huge dynamic.
That was family.
She came into our marriage.
Yeah.
She came into our marriage like not even 6 months into our marriage.
Wow.
Because that's when God put her there.
Wow.
Right. And we got her on a January 2nd and we met on a January 2nd. And we only got her on a January 2nd because we happened to be on petfinder.com. Just saw her brother.
Yeah.
And I called and the lady's like, I don't have him, but I have his sister.
Wow.
And she really at first was hesitant to giving her up because I think she wanted to keep her.
Oh, okay.
So, there's to now fast forward kind of
right.
Back,
all that
we've adopted. We are waiting for our new puppy.
Okay.
To be of age to come home.
Okay.
So, I would never close, if I were you, I would never close the door on it, but give yourself enough time and space to heal.
Yeah. And I thank you for that. This is when we picked up the IE Hounds and me and my business partner had that talk that day. And we were both grieving with our dogs on the phone. We don't know how we got on that conversation, but we both ended up talking about our dogs, and he was grieving from his dog of 17 years and mine of 14, and was like, bro, this is a perfect opportunity for us to heal and talk about the grief. Because for me, just grief in itself has been something that God has put on my heart. I know it's important. I know grief is an important conversation, and for me to go through it with my grandmother in 95, and that took me 10 years to heal from her. One day it just clicked, and then my dad, and then my grandfather was in 2020 he was 90, and then my dog 2 years, so it's 19, 20, and then 22, beginning of 2020. And I put Daisy down on my dad's birthday. So when you looked at, when I heard you with the dates, I'm like, yeah, I put her down on my dad's birthday. And so just all of that, like you said, and never really dealing with that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then now an opportunity to share that and then meet people who have gone through this process. Like I felt like I was the only one, suffering in silence, but then I'm sharing now. And it's like, so many people have these similar experience. And it's like, oh man, I'm not by myself. This is an important conversation, for not just our pets, but with our family. I just believe that the way that grief, I picked up the hounds because of the owner lost his brother. And it was grief that he was like, I can't even deal with that right now. I need to step away and take care of my own sons. I'm over here working with these grown men doing basketball. My sons are here younger. So I got it. Like I get that grief can shift our life. And I just believe that is an important conversation that we have to figure out how to share grief so that people can start to really heal that process. Right. Because there's so many phases to it. There's so much stuff that's connected to it. And I honestly, I'll say this. I don't know if I said this on the air, but just a week and a half ago, I got free from a layer of grief because I remember that when I was in broadcasting school, TV broadcasting school in 19, and I was on the camera that day filming the news report, and we take the equipment upstairs. I grab my phone out of my pocket and I'm checking to see who called because I'm sure I had some missed calls. And so it was my dad's caregiver that called that. And so I clicked the voicemail and I hear her crying and and I still have it. She's just hysterically crying and call me back and your dad is not responsive. And I'm like, what? And so I look at the phone, I call her and she's still crying and I'm like, all right, let me know what happens. Call me when they come there to get the body, because I'm thinking like on TV, like, oh, they'll take the cord, they'll come and get the body. So I'm standing there, and I remember when I hung up the phone from her, my mind, here's my subconscious mind, says, man, my dad died. And then the next thing out of my mouth was, I'm done.
Oh.
And so in that moment, when I said that I'm done, I realized, no, I can't be done because I'm in school. I got all this. I'm an advocate for sickle cell. Like, no, I got a purpose. Like, I got a vision. Like, no, I can't be done. But I said it.
Mm-hmm.
And subconsciously, the last 6 years, I have been suffering in silence, trying to fill all these talk shows and all this stuff because I don't want to be done. But my mind is really drifting away to say I'm done. So when I discovered that, like, wait a minute, I don't feel successful, right? So I took a seminar around success, but not success as being successful, the emotional state of success and where it comes from. And so that was the work that I've done. And that was what I discovered, that I am successful. I don't have to do anything, but the stuff that I was doing was never going to fill that void. And I never experienced being successful as a broadcaster anymore, or an advocate for sickle cell trait or anything, even though I was doing it. I suffered quietly because I really wanted to quit. And to connect that thought again back to the moment, it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I went from a be, do, and have living, being the broadcaster, doing what broadcasters do, and then producing the results. Being an advocate for sickle cell trait, doing what advocates do, and producing results. But the moment I said that I was done, it went back to survival state of mind, which is I gotta have the work to do it, and then I'll be the advocate at the end. So you see that you don't experience being the advocate until you have it and do it, and the experience of it is in the end. The B is at the end. So I got it back out of whack. And that's what the survival state that I had been in the last 6 years.
Wow.
So to discover that, and then I had to feel it in my body. So I felt the anxiousness. I felt the the disappointment in myself. Like I felt all of the upset and all of that hurt from my dad passing, and I playing back the phone call. Like I had to go back through all of that day to allow my body to experience it. And as I experienced it, the next day was gone. But I realized that I had put life out of order. I had got back into the survival state of mind, which is a have it, do it, and then you'll be the whatever
Right.
at
And
the
then
end.
you're constantly chasing.
You're constantly chasing it, Chad. And so the voids never get, you never experience being it. And if you do, it's only temporarily. Because life happens again, and the next show happens.
Absolutely.
And so
then you
it's
get
like
right back in that cycle.
You get right back in it. So it's a have, do, be is a survival state of mind, and to correct it, or the transformative way of viewing it is to be it, to do it, and then have the results. And so as soon as I put it back in order, man, it's like life brightened up. I got like the vitality came back. Like peace came, because I am successful already. Like I don't have nothing to prove to anybody or to myself. And the things that I'm up to are because I want to do it, not because I have to, but this is what I want to do, to not fill a void. And so that's just like a week and a half ago, man.
Wow.
And so that level of that grief was peeled off, and I realized where I was stuck, because I really felt stuck in that conversation. And I didn't want to be the person 10 years from now. I miss my dad. I miss my dad. I didn't want to be that guy, because I've seen people, and if I would have quit, nobody would have been surprised. Because when his dad died, well, of course he shut down. Of course he walked away. Of course he became a hermit and just took off, because I mean that's what people do when their parents die. They shut down. But I didn't want to be that guy. But I will tell you this, the beauty of it all is the moment when that happened 6 years ago is where I went to God to find God for myself.
Amen.
Because I was in the same frame of mind of, okay, my dad died. I have daughters. I have grandchildren. How much time do I have? Is my grandson going to be the same age as my daughter when I die? Like, how much time am I going to make it till he's in his 20s or 16? Like, how much? And so I didn't want to live like that. And I'm like, no. Like, I felt the weight, and I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, God, I have a relationship to death, and I'm okay with it. But I don't want to sit here and think about how much time I got left. And that
sounds familiar.
That's what, Chad, that's what set me on the spiritual journey. So I have to acknowledge that, yes, I went to the survival state of mind, but I found Christ for myself in the same 6-year span, because I went to seek God for my life. So it was perfect. I guess it had to be that way to get to the point where I'm at today, right? To be this youth speaker and speak at church and share my testimony. But I had to go through that wilderness phase all at the same time, man. And it's like, I get it. Like, I get it.
And you know what? That is one, I commend you and thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
And you know, the testimony of finding God that way. And God finds you. God meet you.
Oh my gosh.
Ready, right? When you're ready, he's there. He's not.
Oh, he's right. He was right there, buddy. He was right there, buddy.
And a lot of people find him when they're the most vulnerable. And if you look at the Bible and you read the Bible, where did God typically find? He wasn't there for the Pharisees. He was there for the people who truly needed him, right?
Yes.
And that's the same for us. He's there. You just have to humble yourself to ask him to come into your life and to be saved. And you have to have a firm faith in him and follow him, right? Be willing to drop everything.
That's be willing, and the willingness, man.
Right. And in the Bible, you know, that when he was walking on this earth, it was literally drop everything and walk with me.
Yes.
You know, for us, it is drop your burdens.
Yes.
And walk with me. Right.
Yeah.
And just believe in me. And that doesn't mean that our lives will be perfect. And a lot of people will fall away because they think that all of a sudden, well, I'm never going to sin anymore and life's going to be perfect.
Right.
That's not the case.
That was the teenage years, and I thought that had to be like that.
And I actually we have a pastor named Happy. His real legal name. He showed me his license.
Okay.
And Happy actually, I was talking to him about it, and he said, that's when Satan attacks even harder.
Yes.
And so that ties into what you were saying about learning how to deal with those physical traumas, because Satan loves those old physical traumas and traumas, and he will use those, and he will use those, and he will use those. Yes. So, being able to push past that fear and sin of, the fear is the sin, and getting past that. But boy, did all that really resonate with me. And the thing about feeling your own mortality. As soon as I got cancer, obviously you feel your mortality. Okay, now I got through the surgery, right? I didn't have a type where I could have chemo or radiation. Okay, it was surgery. Let's cut it out. And about 2 years in, I have a coworker, that all of a sudden comes into my life, and she ends up telling me, "Oh yeah, I'm going through cancer too, and I have a friend that's an oncologist, and she was telling me that 2.5 years is typically when it pops back up, and then it really attacks." And she was stressed. So then all of a sudden, I took that stress.
Right.
And I snapped. Around that time. I had a mental break.
Wow.
And because Satan knew how to use it.
Yes.
Right. And I started thinking about, well, my dad died in his mid-50s. My dad had cancer. My dad started with colon cancer. And, they cut it out. Everything's good. Wait a few years. All of a sudden, here it is again. Wow. Well, now it's in his lungs.
Wow.
And he had partial emphysema on top of it. Well, then, he was in and out. We would call, he would joke around. We would call him the Michelin Man because he would blow up.
Right.
And he was in ICU. And, and this is my biological dad.
Yeah.
And, then it eventually went to his brain.
Wow. Wow.
So I'm playing these and
I'm
talking about this. It's taking me right through. And I'm literally mentally seeing him the last time I saw him laying in his bed, and he's asking, he's like asking me to help him up in 1 minute. And then the next minute he's asking, "Where's Chad?"
Wow.
Because his brain is just being attacked.
Yeah.
And, so it's tough, but then once we realize, another thing we have to realize is, we all have a certain timetable. We don't know what that timetable is.
We don't know. We don't know.
Only God knows what that is. Just be ready for it, right? And just live your life, run the race, and do it for him, and you're good.
Yeah.
Right? And he's not asking you to do anything special.
Right?
Just believe in him, love your neighbor.
Yeah.
Right?
The
The commandments are there to remind you that you're a sinner.
Right.
Right? That you need him.
Yeah.
But he came to fulfill those.
Yeah.
So it's all good. Once you have him,
appreciate
you just let go of that fear.
Yeah. And
it's
the
just
last 6 years,
our brains try to get us to remember those, right?
Well, of course, that's what it's designed to do. It's designed memory patterns, action patterns, and perception patterns. That's what the brain is designed to keep us alive. To survive.
And I want to personally say that even though we've just met, and thank you for reaching out, I feel a connection to you. If you ever are in need, or feeling that lonely part but not alone, text me.
For sure. I appreciate
that.
Okay. I appreciate that.
I don't want you to ever feel like you're alone.
No doubt.
I may not be able to answer because you're in California and it might be in the middle of the night, but just know as soon as I wake up, I will get it.
No, thank you. I really appreciate you again for accepting my invitation to even talk about your your business. But then, like I said, when you called in on Sunday, man, I just heard something totally more than just about the dog conversation. So I really appreciate you allowing me to even share on my own show this important conversation, because at the end of the day, it's our life. You know, it's we all deal with some version of our experiences. And when I learned about my trait and my collapsing and almost dying from that, and the renal failure and all the, it's like that's that affliction that God gives us to remind us, to draw us closer to Him. It's not, you know, a bad thing. Like, we can make it mean a bad thing. So I really look from now what the world has to say and what the Word has to say. And
Amen. I like that.
Been able to filter, allow my spirit to lead my life, because I understand my mind now. And I know what, by following Christ, what does the word say? So I filter the mental health, I filter the personal development education, all that conversation, I filter it to now what the word says. And it's two totally different conversations. You know, the personal development aligns with it because it teaches principles, and a lot of stuff that the personal development teaches are really biblical principles, but they don't acknowledge God for that because it's a curriculum. But when you parallel it with the word, it taught me it taught me principles. And we're all used by principles, whether they're negative principles or ones that give us strength, but we're all used by some belief, philosophy, right? And usually it's corrupted. My philosophy that I lived before that education, I had to go back and challenge the first 40 years of my life. But I found a curriculum that I had confidence in, that I trusted, that helped me say, okay, go back and look and see that thought. Go back and look at that memory. Why does those memories popped up in my head all the time of me making that story about my dad, about being abandoned by my mom, about the 6-year-old, you know, reading with the ruler and being laughed at because I'm reading with my finger. Like all the things that Satan attacked me with, they all were memories in my head. And I would be like, why do I remember that day? Like it'd be like, why do I remember that day? Like, why do I remember that day? But I never knew that I could grab that thought and put it through a curriculum and unravel it to see what it was for what it was. I was 40. I'm saying, why do we have to wait till we're older? Imagine we could go back in our childhood, the younger ages, 8 years old. That's what I hear. That's what I see.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this. When you said the world and the word.
Yeah.
So how about this? The world is just the word being twisted by Lucifer. That's why there's an L in it, right?
So look, you know what I use? I say that the world and the word, the only thing different is when you remove the L from world, for me it's the loss. So you take the L out of the world, which is the loss, and it leaves you the word. But that L is God is love, right?
Oh, I like that too.
You replace the L from the world as a loss. In the word, it's love. And so,
I like it.
Yeah, man. So again, I've just been blessed. Like I said, these last 6 years, like after last week, it made sense. Like, yes, I went through that suffering and that grief process, but then I also found Christ at the same time. And it was like, I needed that for myself. And here we are. And I'm very grateful for you, man, to reach out and accept the invitation to share who you are. And I definitely would like to talk to you some more and just connect in the spiritual context.
Sure. I you know what? You're my new friend. And I appreciate it. I feel like we're new, even though we just met, we're old friends.
Yeah.
You know? I just appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate God, having you find me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all good. I really I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Me too. I was
really
an emotional cat. I was an emotional cat, and I would say that growing up, I wore my emotions on my sleeve, and like I said, to learn that about myself, and to be okay with it and own it. It's still there sometimes. The old Farron is still in there, but I recognize it, right? But when it shows up, I can catch it. And if it comes out, I can acknowledge it and say, hey, you know what? Please forgive me. I didn't mean to say that like that. Let me start over. Like, that's a different person. And that's what we want people. We want people to, nobody's perfect. We want to see the realness. We want to see, hey, that's what our children want to see. Our children want to see, oh, my dad, you ain't got it figured out? No, I don't. Okay, because we're there, sometimes we're their superhero and we can do no wrong, but we do. Parents, we do disappoint our children, we do disappoint our loved ones. And to acknowledge that that's what we want.
Absolutely.
So Chad, thank you for your time. Anything else you want to say before we go, man?
I just want to say God is good, first and foremost. He is my Savior. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and I just want to say, thank you to Him for putting you in my path and being able to speak my I don't want to say my truths, but an account of my testimony.
Yeah.
To all those military people out there, hopefully it helped at least one person.
Amen. Thank you.
And if that's the case, job is complete. Mission
complete. Yeah.
And if you guys ever want somebody that hopefully you can tell truly cares, not only about your pet, but you.
Yeah.
And if I can't help you, I can't help you. But if I can find somebody that can, I will.
You got to tell me about the 20 cats, man. We gotta. I'm interested in that one. I gotta figure out how you're gonna do that one.
I am so excited about this one. You have no idea. And but Great Adventure Pet Transport LLC.com. Like I said before, it's born out of a Stephen Curtis Chapman song, Christian artist. If you know the song, you know it. If you don't, look it up. I love the song. It might sound old 80s style, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
Our phone number is 330-551-3374 out of Akron, Ohio. Email Great Adventure Pet Transport LLC.com. Main place to get any information. I need to start posting more than what I have, but on Facebook, just message me. That's the quickest place to get me is honestly on Facebook.
Cool deal. Thank you so much for your time, brother. Nice meeting you.
Hey man, thank you very much.
Thank you for today.
God bless you.
God bless you too. All right, this is the Farron Dozier Show on Military Broadcast Radio Network. Again, thank you for listening in. Yes, 2 hours, 11 minutes. That's how it goes. We could still go on for another hour probably. So grateful again. If you want to contribute to the Military Broadcast Radio Network, this is what they do for us as veterans. This is a platform, an additional platform we get to share and express ourselves and share our experiences. Right, this is it. The whole point of my show is the relatedness. As you can hear, there's a relatedness. I was taught that civilians are not going to understand you, Farron. Civilians are not going to understand you. That's what I was taught, ingrained in my brain at a very early military career. Civilians are not going to understand you. Well, guess what, y'all? I don't understand Farron. So why would I put that pressure on you to understand me when I don't understand me? And what that does is it allows us to have a relatedness conversation. It allows us to use your imagination. How would you feel put in a situation like that? We use our imagination when we go to the movies. We use it in other ways. Imagine you can use your imagination to see, given those circumstances of another person, how would you respond to that? And I bet it wouldn't be much different given their circumstances. So we're not different. Race, skin color, none of that. I was trained to objectify another human being into a terrorist and kill terrorists. But that's a human being. So imagine my brothers and sisters who had to go that route, that their brain remembers that was a person, that wasn't just a terrorist. But it's not just us. We do this in life. We label one another, skin color. I'm black, you're white, you're Mexican, you're Asian. And then we talk to people based off of how we objectify, how the world talks about those people. And it keeps us disconnected from the humanness. That's the work. You don't believe me? Look at it from a sports conversation. Fans kill each other over jerseys that they don't even own the team. because you got on the Clippers jersey and I got on the Lakers jersey, I can kill you in the parking lot for talking about my team. Let's go one further. Law enforcement. I'm a suspect before I'm a person. But we're all suspects before we're a person. But the community does the same thing in return. Oh, you're a police officer. You should know better. Well, that police officer is a person first too. So we're all people first. We're all people first. And that's the relatedness that we have. You've seen it here today in more ways than one. That's why I do this, to create the space of a relatedness. And then here we are. We can have a conversation. We can further listen to one another. I don't have to set my stuff aside. I can set my beliefs aside to hear your beliefs. I can set my stuff aside to hear why you respond the way you respond and not react to what you said. But I have to be confident in myself before I could let that stuff go, right? Yeah. Appreciate you for tuning, listening in. Next Wednesday, we'll be back 4 p.m. Pacific time right here on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. If you want information about sickle cell trait, it's wdconst.org. You want more information about what I'm up to in the community, farrond.com. Everything is there. Between those two websites, you can find information there. And of course, my Instagram at Farron Dozier, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those other places. All right. Again, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate you all for listening. I think I'm done. Let's get out of here. Shout us out what's to count. The Farron Dozier Show, mbradio.us. Check out the other shows here all throughout the week. You can find something to listen to right here. Contribute, mbradio.us as well. Shout us out what's to count.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.